Hello and welcome to another composing episode. If you haven't seen one of these before, I basically run through in real time how I compose a piece of music, but I cut out all the bits where I'm fiddling around trying to find particular sounds, but I come back and show you updates as we go through the process. There's loads more videos like this on a playlist somewhere over there, and like and subscribe is always appreciated. This time we're going to look at an uplifting storytelling cue. There's a description of the brief which I'll put under the video so you can read it in full, but it says we're focusing on uplifting storytelling cues, moments that balance emotional reflection with a sense of hope and optimism. So two sort of factors coming in there. The second paragraph says musically aim for warm strings, light percussion, dynamic harmonic builds, things like that. And the final paragraph gives us some idea of reference, so reveals on Queer Eye, the hopeful transformation on The Biggest Loser, things like that. So it's music that acknowledges the struggle but looks ahead to brighter days. What I'm going to do to start with is come up with probably a 4-bar phrase on the piano with some chords that I like that will probably fit this. So when I've worked out something, I'll come back. Right, so instead of 4-bar phrase, I've got an 8-bar phrase. The only reason for that is the first time I have held this going from a D to an A to a G, but with a B root note. And the second time round, we're going to go to the G root note for the G chord, which gives it a resolution as opposed to the hanging feel of the first one. Okay, I'm going to probably need some sort of strings, I imagine. Okay, to get us started, I've gone for Albion 1 strings spiccato. I've kept it quite simple, just playing with those chords that we've already decided of the D, A and G, but playing with the second and the fourth. But we're not going too far away from the main chord theme. I think that works quite nicely with it. I'm probably going to double that up with something else, so let's have a go at that. Right, so I've come up with two different effects because remember at the moment we're trying to throw lots of things at the composition because we know we're going to strip this down later. One of them is this sort of synth effect. It's exactly the same notes as the string spiccato, and the other thought was to use a harp, or you can combine all three. I think that's starting to come together quite nicely. Probably some sort of melody is required. Right, so I've used Albion 1 strings again just to start with, but I think they sound quite nice. What you'll notice from these bass notes here is that I've followed down from the D to the C sharp, which we're playing as the bass note for the A chord, so A over C sharp. Then I've gone to the B, and then both times I've gone down to the G with the strings in the bass. So we get this sort of sound. So keeping it quite simple. So emotional reflection, sense of hope towards the end there. I wonder what else we could layer on top of that. Right, well, I've gone to Colossus and I've used the high strings and the low strings longs. All I did was took the melody that I wrote with two hands for the Albion 1 strings long, and I split them out into the top notes for the high strings and the lower notes for the low strings. Now on their own they sound like this, which is nice, but actually if you put those Albion 1 strings in as well, you get quite a nice rich feel to the strings, which I quite like. Probably something rhythmic next. See you in a sec. Well, it took me a while to find them, but I do quite like these mids from Damage. They're of the organic cinematic section. Nice. Okay, how about some bass? Yep, managed to find some bass. We're using prime bass, and we are using the straight rock sound. Which I think works really nicely. What I've also done is actually taken a couple of the peaks that were coming up in the lower frequencies, because we've got quite a lot going on with these strings, because not only have we got the Albion 1 strings playing low, we've got the other Colossus low strings as well. I'm going to have a listen through to that. I think it might need to be a bit longer because it doesn't sound quite resolved and hopeful. Let me have a think. Okay, so after a bit of funking, what I've done is copied out mostly this same part that we had to start with, these same sections. What I've done though is increased the number of notes that the bass plays, and I've also done a more uplifting melody for the string, so we get to this higher register. So what I'll do is play this all in context for you as a bit of an outro, so you can see where we've got to. We're just up to about 30 seconds, so that's great, leading into the next part, which is going to be structuring this out to 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes of music. And don't forget, like and subscribe, always appreciated. See you in the next one. Bye for now.